Hi everyone, welcome back to another Graflex lightsaber video. Today's video is going to be a little bit different. As some of you know, most of my collection and most of the lightsaber hilts that I talk about are usually static hilts. I very rarely do any videos on FX installed lightsabers. That's because I really don't have that many. I have a couple. But this is one of them, and I've recently installed this, so I thought I'll just go through it and just take you through the steps I did to install this lightsaber. So first off, it's a Roman props Graflex, just like in The Rise of Skywalker. We have confirmation that the screen used prop in episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, was actually a Roman props Graflex, not a vintage, unlike everything else that came before. So this is a really accurate prop to, or really accurate replica rather, to the screen used prop. As I said, Roman props top, Roman props lower, everything including the button, the glass eye, the pins that you see here on the sides. Everything I've tried to keep from Roman props. The clamp section is obviously not supplied by Roman props, so I got this from Coast Sabers. The clamp section here, as well as the grips. There's 5 grips and 1 steel belt hanger clip right here. This is made of steel. The other 5 grips are made of resin. I have talked about this in detail in a previous video. This was converted to me and weathered by my good friend Martin, who's done an excellent job applying the stencils and doing all the damage that you see over here. He also supplied this more accurate brown leather strap for the clamp, and just did a little bit of more kind of weathering details here. Painting of the grips and so on. But this is how it looks when I display it on the shelf as a static prop. But recently I actually sold one of my other Graflexes, which was installed, but the person I sold it to did not want it installed. He just wanted the shell basically. So I sold him the Graflex and I took out the core, and I thought, well, I'm just going to install this one instead. So the first thing that I had to do was obviously take it apart and remove the bulb assembly from the inside, and instead I installed a blade holder. What you see here, this black bit here, this is the blade holder from Solar's Hold. I think it's a Solar's Hold Deluxe V2. And the reason I'm a big fan of this particular blade holder is because it allows for you to install the long pins. A lot of the Graflex blade holders don't have this ability, so they're made for 1-inch blade. This is made for a 7/8 inch blade, so it's a little bit deeper, the socket, and it allows you to use the longer pins, which are more accurate. The shorter, stubbier pins are not really accurate. So I used the Solar's Hold blade holder. But with that, I ran into a couple of issues. First of all, the socket here under the glass eye. I did not realize this, but the glass eye of Romans has a different shape to the one from the Graflex shop and a vintage. Over here, it's a little bit wider, so this would not go in all the way. So I had to machine down all the way and expand this socket. Not the Graflex, but what you see underneath here. So this is part of the blade holder. I had to Dremel it down to widen that socket so that I would accept a Roman's glass eye, because I did not want to use a different glass eye. So that took some time. On the glass eye, you can see here there's a 3D printed little extension, and that allows me to use it as a blade retention. It's also holding in the blade plug. Underneath here, underneath the red button, is where I installed the main power switch. And I used the slide switch as an auxiliary. So it slides up and down to activate things like blaster block, etc. For that, the slide switch inside has a long sort of limb. You have to cut it down to the accurate length and then install a little switch in the body of the blade holder. And that was a little bit tricky, but I got there in the end. So let's just take it apart and just show you how it all works together. So I'm going to remove this lower end. And that exposes the chassis, which is very, very basic. Goth 3D printed chassis. There's a Proffie board under there, which allows me access to the card and the USB port. I like removable batteries, 18650 removable batteries, and it's got a kill switch. The speaker is a very loud 31mm bass speaker from Sabers. That's about it. I can remove the clamp as well and just show you a little bit more. So it sits in quite nicely. There are 3 sort of brass rods extending from the top part of the chassis and are fixed to the blade holder up here. So the blade holder is a 2-part. So if I remove the glass eye, I'll show you, it will kind of fall out. So first of all, let's remove the blade plug as well. So pinch the bunny ears, just give it a little shake, and it just falls right out. But also with this, the blade holder will now start to move down, as you can see here. And that's because it's made of 2 halves. And what holds it, what keeps it held together, is the glass eye. So it's very important when you put the blade in, if you're using this setup, when you put the blade in, is to put the glass eye back in first to hold the 2 ends of the blade holder together before you push the blade in. Because what will happen is that the blade can actually push this down and not make contact, or it'll mess up the switch or something. So yeah, 18650, removable battery with a decal on it from Skywamper, kill switch down here, Proffie board, SD card, USB port, speaker, Schtok V3 Neopixels, so all the good stuff. And this Proffie is updated to the latest OS, 7 point something. I really can't remember, I can't keep up. But let's go ahead and put this back on. There are tiny screws underneath the clamp card. I'm aware of that for those of you watching, but I've taken them out because it's held quite firmly anyway. I didn't think I needed them. So I actually made another lower. It's almost identical to the first. It's got the same grips exactly from Sabers, the steel belt clip and the other resin grips, but it's got vented false rivets. These are all available from Sabers, and it's got a vented pommel with a pommel cap on. And this just allows for better sound venting, obviously. I mean, there's still, you can still hear from this, but just it's much more muffled. So that when I'm using it as a lightsaber, as an FX lightsaber, I just pop on this lower and it looks exactly the same. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. But before I do that, of course, I need to turn on the kill switch.
What is it? Father's lightsaber.
Just put this back on.
This is the weapon of a Jedi Knight. Father's as clumsy or random as a blaster. Elegant weapon for a more civilized age. For over 1,000 generations, the Jedi Knights were the guardians of peace and justice in the Old Republic. Before the Dark Times. Before the Empire.
Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that the blade holder is up. I'm going to start threading in the glass eye so it holds the two ends of the blade holder together. So everything is lined up. Sometimes it catches. You don't want to force it because then you can cross thread it. So you have to just go gently. Okay, so maybe not all the way. Yeah, that's fine. And then I'll just put the blade in. So as I said, this is a 7/8 inch Neopixel blade. And just squeeze the bunny ears together. Insert my blade, push it all the way in till I can feel that it's made contact, and then tighten the glass eye a little bit more, a couple of rotations, just so it holds the blade steady and I don't lose light. Okay, I think it should be ready to go, hopefully. Let's just give it a try. Just trying to angle it. Okay. So as you can see, it's flickering some dark. That's because it's not made proper contact. So I could try again. It means it's not quite snug against the PCB. So I could just push in a little bit more and just tighten it a tad more. And now it looks good. And now we're going to try the auxiliary switch. So just up and down, it should do the blaster effect. Literally just pushing it down. Activates blaster. Of course, we have all the gesture motions, so twist on and off. Holding down the power button will give you force effects or quotes.
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only
hope. Lock up is aux and clash. And in case you're wondering, that was the A New Hope, Graflex A New Hope sound font by Jesse from Kyberphonic, one of my favorite sound font designers. And then I just have a bunch of Graflex sound fonts on this, mostly from Kyberphonic, some from K-Sith, some other artists as well.
I suggest you try it again, Luke. This time, let go your conscious self and act on instinct.
With the blast shield down, I can't even see. How am I supposed to fight?
Your eyes can deceive you. Don't trust them.
So this is another A New Hope Graflex from Kyberphonic. This is a training scene on the Falcon.
Stretch out with your feelings.
You know, I did feel something. I could almost.
The Force is with you.
Empire Strikes Back. So slightly deeper blue.
I need a weapon!
You have one!
Of course, moving on to the sequel trilogy, The Force Awakens. It's a much deeper hum and a darker blue. Much more bassy clash effects.
lightsaber was Luke's and his father's before him, and now he calls to you.
Rey.
This is Rey from The Last Jedi. I think this is a K-Sith one.
You're hard to get rid of.
And of course we have quite a few The Rise of Skywalker ones, since this is really a Rise of Skywalker Graflex. Oh, I think this is Dyad by Kyberphonic. It sounds insane. That hum. Really, really cool.
You're with me.
Yeah, just lots and lots of different sound files. These are Kylo Ren, obviously. Nothing to do with Graflex.
Kylo Ren.
Rey Skywalker.
This one is cool, Rey Skywalker, right from the end, her yellow lightsaber. If you look here, it flickers blue first and then goes into yellow. Just like in the movie. What else is there? Yeah, then it goes
Father's
back to the
lightsaber.
first one.
This is the weapon of a Jedi Knight. Not as clumsy or random as a blaster. Elegant weapon for a more civilized age. Over 1,000 generations of
Shine
Jedi
through.
Knights were the guardians of peace and justice in the Old Republic.
Shine through from
Before the
here.
dark times. Before the Empire.
And that is basically it. So this is an installed episode 9 Graflex from Roman Props, KR Sabers. A few more accuracy modifications by Martin. Sound fronts from Kyberphonic K-Sith. The install is Proffie V2.2 OS 7, Schtok V3 Neopixel pin set, removable battery setup, KR Sabers speaker, 31mm. What else was there? Yeah, Goth 3D chassis. That's it. I did the install. I mean, the install was already done, but I just moved moved the core from one Graflex to another, and just adjusted the blade holder, which is a Solo's hold. So you just have to really widen that socket here for the glass eye, and shorten the arm on the inside for the slide switch.
I suggest you try it again, Luke.
That's it.
This time, let go your conscious self and act on instinct.
With the blast shield down, I can't even see. How am I supposed to...
And there's a kill switch. And now I could just go back to the display pommel, remove the blade, and then put it on the shelf. So yeah, that's basically it. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Thanks to everyone who's contributed to bringing the Saber to life. Obviously there's sound font designers, Kyberphonic, Jesse, K-Sith, Rob, who did the install in the first place of the Proffie board, Martin, who helped with the weathering, and yeah, everyone else who brought this to life. Thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.